Updating rankings is something that I have to do all the way until Sunday because obviously when we're in this season, early in the week, I don't know if we're going to have guys like Jaden Reed playing. I didn't know if Josh Downs was 100%. I didn't know if we would have Jawan Jennings. But now that we are to Saturday, we have pretty much all the injury news. I'll give you all the updates, at least everything that is relevant for the time being. And then obviously you can go through and you can always just check out my rankings on flockfantasy.com whenever you want. We're always going to be keeping them up to date. And also I want to look at updated projections after the rankings injury updates because it is going to change some starting lineup questions that I answered earlier in the week. Now, the first thing we're going to be looking at will be the injury updates that we've had over the past 24 hours. So Will Campbell is on track to play week 1. This is going to be very important. I am personally starting Stephon Diggs in my own fantasy football league, and I wouldn't be super excited to start Stephon Diggs. I'll show you the projections later on, but it's a double flex full PPR format in the Flock League, so I kind of have to get him in. It would be like Stephon Diggs versus Travis Etienne for me. Now, going over and looking at what we have with some of these other options. Jalen Naylor, good to go. Obviously, you're not playing him. Maybe it makes you a little less excited for Adam Thielen. Ben Johnson's come out and said, like, hey, Kyle Monungai's over his hamstring injury at this point. And if you look at what we've had with Kyle Monungai versus Roschon Johnson all year, you can actually see that Roschon's an afterthought, which is really painful for me personally. Of course, I like my guy, Roschon Johnson, hook 'em horns. But at this point, let me pull up my rest of season running back rankings and tiers. And let's see where I have Roschon in comparison to Kyle Monungai, because I definitely need to put him ahead. Yeah, we have Roschon at RB69, Kyle Monungai down here at RB66, but now it looks like he is just going to be the backup to DeAndre Swift. So I'll move him up to RB59 in our rest of season rankings. Obviously not somebody that you're going to be looking at playing in the short term. Let's move this back over to the weekly ranks. But anyway, moving beyond that, don't really care about this Bucky Irving quote. Quinshon Judkins does officially sign with the Cleveland Browns. So one thing that we're going to have to update as well here will be our rest of season rankings with the Browns running backs. If you bought a team review from us or you're looking at all the team reviews that we were doing all week, you would have noticed every single time I saw Quinshon Judkins on somebody's waiver wire, I said, you need to go out there and you need to pick up Quinshon Judkins right this second. And Judkins, now that he gets the fully guaranteed contract, I would put him ahead of Travis Etienne. Hell, to be real with you, I have Ja'Cory Crosky-Merritt in the Flock League. If Nathan came over, and he's not going to do this, the dude took Quinshon Judkins in round 5. That tells you how much he likes him. But if he came over to me and was like, Mason, I'll trade you Quinshon Judkins for Ja'Cory Crosky-Merritt, I would rather have Judkins. So I, at the very minimum, need to move Judkins up to RB31 in our rest of season ranks. Let's pull up where we had Dylan Sampson and Jerome Ford. I had Jerome Ford at RB50. Ford's still going to be the starting running back week 1. We'll get to his projection in a second. But rest of season, I don't think you're that excited about Ford because he could eventually end up being the RB3 in this backfield. And then I'm going to be moving Dylan Sampson down our rest of season ranks. Realistically, like I have Nick Chubb as well in the Flock League. I would probably rather have Nick Chubb over Dylan Sampson at this point because early in the season, I think it's going to be Ford's job. And later in the year, it's probably going to be the job of Quinshon Judkins. So honestly, with that in mind, I would rather have Ramondre Stevenson. At least Ramondre is the clear backup here. So Dylan Sampson falls dramatically. I already had Jerome Ford a little bit lower rest of season because I thought that second half of the year, there's no way this dude was the starting running back, right? So we'll go ahead and we'll update that, and I'll show you where they are at my weekly rankings in just one second. Read on Worthy's shoulder injury. We'll know tomorrow once we're back. We'll do an MRI. So we're going to see what's going to happen. Obviously, we can skip by all that. Please, YouTube, for the love of God, don't copyright me. Boop, boop, boop. Please act like we didn't see that. The last update that we've had with McCaffrey is that he, quote unquote, feels great and he plans on playing week 1. But at the same time, this is the update that we got a year ago from like yesterday. And obviously, McCaffrey really was absolutely nothing last season. So I did move McCaffrey down our rest of season ranks. I have him inside the same tiers like Josh Jacobs, Jonathan Taylor, etc., etc., etc. And then in terms of injury updates, Jawan Jennings, 100% good to go. No worries whatsoever there. Jaden Reed is still questionable. I've not seen if Jaden Reed's officially in or out. I will say for me personally, there's no way in hell I would go out there and I would put Jaden Reed in my starting lineup week 1, even if he plays. Seems like he's playing through some pain. Seems like he is going to be playing with a broken foot. Christian Kirk officially listed as out. I think you could cut Kirk if you're playing in a shallower format. Khalil Shakir, 100% good to go. And Devon Achane, 100% good to go. Tyreek Hill, 100% good to go. And then again, Roshan at this point is cuttable. If you're rostering Roshan Johnson, you'd rather have Kyle Monungai at this point, which is painful for me to say out loud. But then outside of that, I guess you can say Christian Gonzalez being ruled out is good for Jacoby Myers, blah, 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 blah. Now, we have an Ian Rappaport thing from Dylan. Let me go ahead and pull that up quickly. I will say, as I stall for that, some pretty exciting news personally. We were a little late to this because this morning, and it's been a busy, busy week for me to put all this stuff together. Let's see. McCaffrey is questionable with the calf injury, but signs are pointing to him playing. So nothing really is there. But it's been a little bit busy for me personally because we just got engaged. So I'll show you all the pic just in case. I definitely know you haven't seen it before, but I'll have an official video for y'all. I'll have some legit pictures for y'all to see sooner. Did not do it at brunch. We did it at the park in Austin, and it was a complete surprise. So we weren't all dressed up as if it was like a pre-planned thing, but that picture just went away. So let's see if I can find that again. But this is a pic from brunch afterwards. So it's official. Been working a lot on the back end, and yeah, super happy, of course. And don't you worry, I'm still live streaming every single day. And don't you worry how to lock it in, because this is who secretly makes the rankings. It's not me, actually. But I think that's it for the injury updates. So what I wanted to do is I wanted to go through and I wanted to actually look at some serious projections. Because I'm not going to lie to y'all, my Ricky Pearsall ranking was horrendous. Like, I had to find this out the hard way. Because we were looking at the underdog pick'ems. And what I did that was a little interesting is I broke these players into tiers. I looked at the underdog pick'ems. I ranked them and tiered them based off overall yardage totals, right? So let me show you the first tier that we have. And I just went through and I wrote these all down on my little notes list. So this is the tier of absolute must-start names. Doesn't even matter if you're in a shallow format. If you have these players, you absolutely have to put them in your starting lineup. This list is Jamar Chase. Underdog has him higher, lower, 86.5 total yards. Jefferson, higher, lower, 81.5. Nico, 78.5. London, 75.5. Brian Thomas, 73.5. Puka, they have higher, lower, 72.5. Mike Evans, 71.5. Neighbors, 70.5. Amon-Ra St. Brown, 67.5. Tyreek Hill, 67.5. So maybe you say like, oh, Mason, oh my gosh, the Brian Thomas is easily going to have 74 receiving yards. I'm going to go hammer the higher. You do you. I'm staying away from this tier. All these look accurate to me. None of these look weird. I'm not touching them. But just as an example here, this is like the 100% good to go, no hesitation with it tier. These are guys that you have to jam in. Now, in most formats, I would say these other players, Underdog is ranking as a list of names that you also have to jam in. T. Higgins, higher, lower, 64.5 receiving yards. Tet, 63.5. Judy, 63.5. So this is a big, big development here. To see, I guess you can talk about Tet here as well. I mean, we've talked about Tet all week long, saying you absolutely have to start Tet McMillan if you have Tet McMillan, because at the end of the day, this is a phenomenal matchup. This is a really good game environment if you look at the over-under. And with Tet, he's going to have all the target volume, and he's an extremely talented player. So Tet, we already knew, absolute jam. Underdog has him as like the 12th highest projection left from the wide receivers that haven't played. So you play Tet McMillan. The other guy they have as that jam is Jerry Jeudy. You have Flacco under center. You have the best matchup you could possibly ask for going up against the Cincinnati Bengals. So Tet, Jeudy, if you have them, and maybe I told you to bench Jeudy early in the week because I was being an idiot and I was too locked in my head of where he was drafted in actual fantasy drafts and not really comprehending how good the matchup and how good the setup is week one. So I would 100% jam in Jeudy, jam in Tet. Then you have Marvin Harrison, JSN, Cortland Sutton as guys that I know you're already planning on. And yes, Dylan's already in the chat saying, what the hell? Why is Debo Samuel here at 59.5 yards? And this is not the receiving yardage mark for Debo Samuel. This is the, what's it called? This is the total yardage mark. I went through and I added up what they had for Debo Samuel with his rushing and his receiving, and this was the projection that they had for him. So if I've already gone through and I've already made a statement against Debo for my underdog pick'em for tomorrow, I'm using a 40% profit boost token here. Underdog is going to be dropping a 100% profit boost token for us soon, but the Debo Samuel projection was the first one that I went, you know what? That's absolute garbage. And I'm going to say the same thing with Ricky Pearsall that we're going to look at in just 1 second. So my underdog pick'em that I put together is I went Ricky Pearsall to have 41.5 receiving yards, Debo Samuel to not score a touchdown, and Tony Pollard to have fewer than 82.5 total yards. And that would be $50 to win 311. Now, I'll say a couple different things. One, I have missed horribly on our underdog pick'ems for back-to-back days now. Embarrassing. Y'all tailed me. I let you down. And I genuinely do not feel good about it. But again, going back to it, your boy just got engaged this morning. We're 0 for 2 on our last underdog pick'ems. So if there was ever somebody that was due, it is this guy. This is the pick'ems slip we are riding with for tomorrow. If you wanted to tail us, we are due, ladies and gentlemen. And if you wanted to give your boy an engagement gift, also signing up to Underdog Fantasy is the best thing you could possibly do. Underdog's going to drop the 100% profit boost token for the games tomorrow. If you're not already on Underdog, after you play your first $5 with promo code FLOCK, they're going to add $50 into your account. And you'll get a special boosted Flock Pick'em pack for the game tomorrow night that I'll show y'all as well. And that one I do not have pulled up on my computer, so I'll show y'all that in the live stream later tonight. But the link's in the description, links in the comment section. Underdog is available in almost every single state. And again, use code FLOCK. You're going to get $50 added to your account after you play your first 5. And if you got the season pass on flockfantasy.com, fill out the Google form on the site and you'll get an extra $10 added into your Underdog account. So effectively, code FLOCK, deposit 10, play 5, and then have $70 in your account and go ahead and use those profit boost tokens. But definitely take advantage of that. Links in the chat, links in the description, links in the comment section. We are due for the engagement, and at the same time, we're due for other reasons too. Now let's move this over to our next one. This is a tier of players that are in the range where if you're in a 12-team league, especially with multiple flex spots, you probably put them in. If you're in like a 10-team league with 2 wide receivers, 1 flex, you probably avoid them because you have a wide range of outcomes. All of these guys are anywhere from 55.5 total yards to 57.5 with the projections, higher or lower. Adams, DJ Moore, Zay Flowers, Jalen Waddle, Metcalf, Egbuka, Terry McLaurin, Garrett Wilson, Jacoby Myers. My worries with the guys on this list. I am worried a little bit about Egbuka, with this being his first NFL game ever. And generally, I like to have a little more clarity before we get a player like that inside our starting lineup, outside of Tet McMillan. Tet's an automatic jam. So I would personally, even though Underdog is projected slightly better than Terry McLaurin and Garrett Wilson, I would still start Terry. I would still start Garrett Wilson ahead of him. I am also hesitant about Jacoby Myers. While I know you have no Christian Gonzalez, while I know you have Deontay Thornton, Jack Bech as rookies, and Amari Cooper just retired, this is a new coaching staff, this is a new quarterback, and Jacoby Myers just went out there and requested a trade. So I would be a little bit shaky to have him inside this tier of guys. I am definitely playing everybody that's in this tier ahead of Jacoby Myers, but that's just myself, and maybe I should just listen to the projections there. Now, our next tier will be players that you would probably like to bench if you could. I'm not saying that you need to bench them, but the projections have them with very low floors. We have Jamison Williams, higher lower 51.5 total yards, Ridley 50.5, Olave 49.5, Jawan Jennings 48.5, Rome 47.5, Downs 47.5, Diggs 47, Shakir 47, Golden 46, Pittman 46, and Travis Hunter 45. Hunter, again, I know I've told a lot of people to bench him this week, and generally, I would like to see it and see what his role is before we absolutely have to jam him in week 1. But again, that's just me. I would really hope that the rookie breaks out. I really hope that you can be excited to start him through the rest of the season, but maybe you don't need to do so his first week in. And then the last player that we had in our rankings list, much higher. And as I showed y'all, for that reason, I went through and said, you know what? I'm not going to just say Underdog's 100% right with all these pick'ems. I'm going with Ricky Pearsall higher than 41.5 receiving yards because they have Ricky Pearsall, a completely different tier of player, down here at 41.5. They have Juwan Jennings, who missed all of camp, at 48.5. So this was maybe my favorite pick'em that I came across. I put my own money on it. And I don't think there's much else to say about that other than the projections scare the crap out of me. And if I had Ricky Pearsall in my starting lineup right now, I would probably try to take him out. Now let's go over to the running backs and let's look at the RBs that they currently have projected out as just absolute auto starts where if you have them, you put them in. And I don't think you worry too much about it. We got Bijan, McCaffrey, obviously McCaffrey, depending on the injury. Taylor, H.N. Gibbs, Chase Brown, Bucky, Jacobs, Genty, Kamara, Derrick Henry, Kyron Williams, and Tony Pollard. You may think, oh my gosh, Derrick Henry to be this low is crazy. He has a tough matchup going up against the Buffalo Bills. Then looking at Pollard, he is the one name that I see that I don't think belongs in this list. Not because I think Tony Pollard's much less talented than everybody else here. That is part of it, to be honest with you. But also because I think Tony Pollard is going to be in the worst offense in the NFL this week. This week, Tony Pollard is going to be going up against the Denver Broncos with the first week ever for Cam Ward under center. So with Pollard, I would say that you probably got to bench him. You probably got to start him based off these projections. Similar to how I'm saying that you probably got to bench Ricky Pearsall based off the projections. But also, I wouldn't mind saying, hey, I don't think Pollard's in this caliber of running back in this game environment. I don't know if they'll be able to run the ball. So even if you have no Tajay Spears, again, you put him in your fantasy football lineup. But if you were looking for an underdog pick'em to use this weekend, I don't mind at all Tony Pollard for fewer than 82.5 total yards. Now, the next group of running backs that you probably will be looking at either as a flex play or your running back too will include a running back that was too low in my rankings that I'm going to have to move up. They have Kenneth Walker, higher lower 79.5 total yards, Hubbard 75.5, Jalen Warren 75.5, Tracy 74.5, Swift 72.5, and Aaron Jones 70.5. So if I'm looking at this, the name that stands out to me is Jalen Warren having the same projection as Chuba Hubbard. Now, Jalen Warren's going to be the starting running back week 1. Don't get me wrong. Like, for the love of God, the last thing you could ever do is play Caleb Johnson. But with this, I didn't know that, like, the game has the lowest over-under of any game in the NFL this week. So I just assumed that we didn't want to start too many players in the game in general. But there were a lot of people that I told early in the week to bench Jalen Warren that I'm kind of regretting at this point. Like early in the week, where did I rank Jalen Warren on the site? This is our redraft. Let me pivot over to our weekly rankings. Jalen Warren early in the week, we ranked at like RB 26. Like I think we need to move Tracy and Jalen Warren up our rankings here kind of dramatically. Because we go down to the next tier again. Jalen Warren just projected out at 75.5 total yards. Let's look at what we have with the next tier running backs. These guys that I think are way better options in the long term. Because again, even if Jalen Warren's a smash this week, you are going to have to deal with the fact that Caleb Johnson will expand his role as time goes on. The next tier running backs that we're going to have will be James Cook, Trevion, Brees, and Jerome Ford. James Cook is at 67.5, Trevion Henderson 65.5, Brees Hall 64.5, and Jerome Ford 63.5. Tough matchup for James Cook. Good matchup for Henderson. But again, with Trevion Henderson, we don't know what the role is going to be like between him and Ramondre. And then with Jerome Ford, the matchup against Cincy's great. Judkins isn't playing week 1, so even if Jerome Ford maybe is like RB 50 in my rest of season rankings, because I don't think he's starting over Dylan Sampson and Quinshon Judkins a few weeks from now, week 1, Jerome Ford looks like a very capable play. Then going down to our next tier, let me show you the last two. I was shocked to see the split that we have between RJ Harvey and J.K. Dobbins with the projections. Because you can see that they're projecting out Jalen Warren to just have everything in Pittsburgh, right? And Caleb Johnson to have nothing. They're projecting out the Denver Broncos backfield split to be 50-50. You have Dobbins at 57.5, RJ Harvey at 57.5 total yards. So I realistically, I'm not lying. Maybe you think I'm an idiot for this, but literally based off these projections and these projections alone, I'm moving Jalen Warren over J.K. Dobbins in my rankings. And I guess it makes sense that Dobbins is with this team, with this coaching staff for the first time, right? I guess Jalen Warren's been with that team, with that coaching staff for quite some time now. So both Dobbins and Harvey are new guys, so maybe they don't just give Dobbins everything out the gate. But maybe Dobbins is a little less exciting than I initially thought. Now, it's a great matchup against Tennessee. Spread on this game is massive. They should be able to run the ball in the second half, but it looks like it's going to be a lot more of a 50-50 backfield split. And then when we're looking at Travis Etienne, David Montgomery, Austin Eckler, Nick Chubb, it is surprising to see Montgomery project out this poorly. But again, this is a very tough defense you're going up against with Green Bay. And the coaching staff as of late has mentioned that it's maybe going to be a little bit more of the Jahmyr Gibbs show than what we've seen in previous years. And then Eckler, I would actually rather start him over like Travis Etienne and David Montgomery. Because while the yardage total projects very low, keep in mind if you're playing in a full PPR format, like Eckler is going to give you a lot of receiving volume. And I saw people saying that we missed the James Conner one. And you are correct. I missed the James Conner pick'em. I did not put that on our list. Let me pull that up for you. Conner is going to fall in line with the other guys that will just be absolute must-start players that you can't think twice about. That if you have, you just have to go ahead and you have to jam them in. Just pulled him up on Underdog. I know we don't have this like ranked in that list for y'all. He was at 87.5, which 87.5 put him right alongside like Ashton Genty, Alvin Kamara, Derrick Henry. So if you have James Conner, make sure you play James Conner. But again, I don't 100% agree with all these Underdog projections, but when you see like massive discrepancy between my rankings and theirs, it for sure makes me think like, oh crap, maybe if they have Ricky Pearsall this much lower than any other wide receiver I'd consider this week, maybe I got to change my mind and maybe we need to bench Ricky Pearsall. When we see that they have Tony Pollard or Jalen Warren way higher than I was initially thinking, or Debo Samuel way higher than I'm initially thinking, maybe I'm going to sit there and go, okay, well, now I guess we can say that you probably should be looking to start Debo if you're on the fence, or start Tony Pollard if you were looking at him versus like Breece Hall previously. Now, with that being said, like I said, I don't 100% agree with them. So I think now that we have some of those profit boost tokens in the lobby because they're doing all the promos for week 1, I personally am going to see if I can hopefully one of these days win a pick'em. I've lost my last 2 and I've done so publicly. It's been embarrassing. But I'm going to be going with Ricky Pearsall to have at least 41.5 receiving yards tomorrow. I'm going to go with Debo Samuel to not score a touchdown, and Tony Pollard for lower than 82.5 total yards. I don't know if I buy that he's in the tier of like Alvin Kamara, James Conner level players this week because the matchup's brutal going up against the Denver Broncos. Now, again, if you wanted to tail me on Underdog, I'm going to leave the link in the description, link in the comment section, link in the live chat. While we have been absolutely horrendous with our picks as of late, we should have some luck on our side. Again, just got engaged. You can see the little doggy there. I'll show you all the official video and the official pictures from when we did at the park. This was brunch afterwards, but I don't have those yet. They were taken with a professional camera with my friend who shot the Flock League video, draft video. He was in a disguise recording from far away with a professional camera, which was funny. But I'll show you all that when I got it. But we're due. We missed our pick'ems the past 2 days. And again, Underdog's going to have the 100% profit boost token that drops for the games tomorrow. And on top of that, if you're not already on Underdog Fantasy, if you sign up with promo code FLOCK, one, it can be the best engagement present that you could possibly ever get me. And two, with that being said as well, you'll get $50 added into your account. And on top of that, you can get a special Flock boosted pick 'em pack in the app tomorrow. And Underdog's going to have a 100% profit boost token. And on top of that, if you got the season pass, fill out the Google form on flockfantasy.com. And if you do all that, then it's like you deposit $10, play $5, and then you're going to have $70 in your Underdog account to play with. And they're available in almost every single state. They're available in like 40 plus states. But I think that's all I got for you, ladies and gentlemen. Really appreciate you hanging out with us. I'll be doing some live Q&A later tonight and tomorrow morning. But maybe going to go and run. Maybe going to celebrate a bit. Appreciate you. And hope I get to see you out with that live stream later tonight.